Good morning. This is your Stats Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and we're continuing on with the binomial. In our previous video, we were working with finding a singular success or a specific number of successes. We wanted to have like exactly four successes or exactly five successes. In this video, we're going to say, hey, what's the probability of having no more than four successes, which means it could be any value four and less. Or what's the probability of having more than four successes? So when we're dealing with multiple successes, we're going to have to approach it differently. All right, so the big difference is we're still going to use the binomial PDF like we used on the calculator before, but now we're going to have to go find the summation key. All right. Our formula is going to change only slightly. Okay. So I'm going to keep working with the same scenario before. In our previous video, we had the probability of a defective item is 0.3. Our defective light bulb is 0.3 given a box of 5 light bulbs. So in this case, once again, we have a sample size or a trials of 5. That's our population size or our group size. And our probability is still 0.3. And we still need to start off by defining when we look at our recipe, it's like still going to start off the same way. Name the distribution and define X. Okay, it's a binomial. Yay us. And let X equal, it's still the same thing. We care about defective light bulbs. Let X equal the number of defective light bulbs. Awesome. We labeled it out. The next thing it said do is identify the P, the probability. We did. We said the probability is 0.3. We identified the number of trials, and that's N. The next thing we need to do is we also need to draw the graph or number line. Well, our number line in this case is once again 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is exactly the same as what we had before. And it says, what's the probability of having no more than four defectives? In this case, I circled multiple values. And we look, if we circle more than one value, this was one value circled. We go down the left side if we only circle one value, but if we circle more than one value, we have to go to the right-hand side. So we're going to go to the right-hand side and follow those directions for the recipe. And it says write the probability statement in symbols. Well, we want the probability that X, because that's what we talked about, is less than or equal to 4. Because we didn't want any value any value greater than 4, but we wanted all the values less than 4. So probability X is less than or equal to 4. The next thing we need to do is write our formula. Well, it's the same formula, except we put a summation sign in front. That's the only difference. If it has multiple values, we're going to put a summation symbol in front. Now, on the calculator, that requires a little bit of work, but for here, all we're doing is adding the summation. So P raised to the N, that's the probability of success. 1 minus P is the probability of failure. And then this is going to be N minus X, and that's the number of failures. So everything's been the same except for the summation sign. Okay. So now we're going to plug into the formula. Well, this is going to require a little more work because we're going to have to do bookends. Because technically, I need to write it for 0, write it for 1, write it for 2, write it for 3, and write it for 4. Well, that's a whole lot of work. So what we normally do is we just take the first one and then we do the last one. So the first one would be, all right, N is 5. So we want 5. Oops, I wanted the red pen, not the blue. So N is 5. So 5, choose 0. 0.3 to the 0 times 1 minus 0.3. So I could just write 0.7, but I'm going to go ahead and write 1 minus 0.3. 5 minus 0, that's 5. Plus dot, 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 plus. Well, 5, choose 4. That's the largest value I circled. 0.3 to that fourth. 1 minus 0.3, or you could write 0.7. That's perfectly fine. And 5 minus 4 is 1. All right, so that's the work that you have to show. Now we need to actually go to the calculator. Now the calculator is going to be a little bit more work. So you're going to press the math button first. Press the math button, and you're going to scroll way down until you get to letter 0, and you're going to look for summation and press enter. And that looks scary, but it's okay. First thing you need to do is press the X button. Okay. And the lowest value we circled was 0, so we're going to choose 0. Then it popped up and it's like, oh, the highest number. What was the highest number we circled? 4. Because what it's going to do is going to add up 0 through 4. Okay, hopefully that works because that came from this. That's your lowest value. That's your highest value. That's what you plugged in the calculator. You're going to arrow over one spot and you're going to press second vars and go back to the binomial PDF like we did in the previous video. Press enter. 5 trials. P is 0.3. My X value is going to be completely different this time. When I get to the X value, I'm going to go find X on the calculator and press X. And I'm going to press enter a couple times, and I get 0.99757. And if I added up all the PDFs, 99757. If I add up all the PDFs for 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's what I would get. In my previous video, we calculated 1680. We calculated this. So this is 1, 0. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3, and this is 4. If we add up this number, this number, this number, this number, and this number, we would get 0.99757. Okay, so that's where it comes from. So the next thing, what's the probability of having less than 4 defects? Be careful. So once again, our probability is still 0.3. N is still 5. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the number of defects that are possible, but less than 4. That means we don't include 4. So I'm actually interested in those. I've already written the formula, so I'm not going to rewrite it because it's the same formula each time. But the smallest value I circled was 0, so I'm going to have 5, choose 0, 0.3 to the 0, 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7, and 5 minus 0 is 5. So the first value didn't change this time. It will sometimes, but not this time. The highest value I chose is 3, so this is going to be 5, choose 3, 0.3 to the third power, 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7, and 5 minus 3 happens to be 2. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to go, all right, I have to go to math. I have to go to summation. Press enter. I'm going to have to go press X. My lowest value was still 0. I up arrow. My highest value I circled was 3. So we go with the highest value we circled, which happened to be 3. Arrow over, second vars, binomial PDF. 5, choose 0.3, and I already have X, but if you didn't remember, X is right here. We press X and press enter, and we get 0.96922. All right, the next one. What's the probability of having at least 4 defective items in a box of 5? Well, probability is still 0.3. N is 5. We're still going to have the same number line, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's having at least 4. Well, 0 is not at least, 1's not at least, 2, 3. So that means I'm circling 4 and 5. All right. Well, we're still going to use the same formula that we're using in number 1, so I'm not going to rewrite it. But I'm going to plug in 5, choose the smallest number I circled was 4. Then it's going to be 0.3 to the fourth. 1 minus 0.3. What's 5 minus 4? That's 1. And once again, I could have put 0.7 there and that would have been fine. Now, technically, I'm just going to go plus because I'm adding the two together. 5, choose 5. 0.3 to the fifth power. 1 minus 0.3. And 5 minus 5 is 0. So that becomes a 0. All right. So here we go. Math. Arrow down to summation. Press enter. X equals our lowest value we circled was 4. Our highest value we circled was 5. Arrow to the right. Second vars. Binomial PDF. All right. Our trials are still 5. Our probability is 0.3. And the X value, again, that's right here. We press X. And we end up getting 0.03078. And normally I just go 4 decimal places. 4 decimal places and truncate. All right, the next one. What's the probability of having 2 to 4 defective items in the box? Okay, so the probability is still 0.3. N is 5. And we could have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. That's the possibility number of defects. But in this case, I'm interested in 2 to 4. Once again, we're not going to write the equation because we've already done it. So 5, choose 2, 0.3 squared times 1 minus 0.3. Well, 5 minus 2 is 3, so this is 3 plus dot, dot, dot. Going to do the highest one. 5, choose 4, 0.3 to the fourth, 1 minus 0.3, and 5 minus 4 is 1. Second vars, math, drop down to summation, press enter, press the X button. My lowest value that I circled was 2, so I need to input 2. Arrow, highest value I entered was 4. Second vars, binomial PDF, and my X value is X, so I press X, and I end up getting 0.46935. All right, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.